Breaking news out of Chemung County tonight where it's happened again. A home explosion in Horseheads, and neighbors say they smelled gas before the house blew. You're looking at video taken by a viewer just moments after the explosion. Good evening, everyone. I'm Scott Cook.
I'm Jennifer Sheehan. Thanks for joining us at WENY HT News at 11. It happened at 3054 Camden Avenue in Horseheads, just a mile and a half from the home on Joseph Street that blew up in 2011, killing a toddler. In the same general area south of I-86, another home exploded on Fox Street a few years ago. Kelly Meyer has been there most of the night and joins us live with the latest. Kelly?
Jennifer, you can still see the house that's smoking behind me, and fire crews are still on the scene. Now, I spoke with a neighbor who lives next door, and he was home when the explosion happened and said it cracked the windows in his basement and shook his whole house. He said that he saw the man who was inside the house next door leaving the house, but we still have no official word on his condition. I also spoke with the assistant fire chief, who said that they were unable to comment and said it's being under investigation by state police. We also spoke with NYSEG, who were unable to give any more information. Now, we'll have more details for you as they become available, but right now in Elmira Heights, Kelly Meyer, WENY HD News.
All right, thank you, Kelly. And WENY HD's Candace Cole was also on the scene earlier tonight, and she talked to some neighbors.
I heard that the person across the street from it was watering her plants or in her garden, and it knocked her off the ground when it happened.
All right, and Candace is here with us now. Now, I understand the man that we just were listening to, you also talked to the woman he was referring to, and she was a key player in this.
Right, Scott. He was talking about Cheryl Birch, who lives almost directly across the street from the house that blew up. And she's the one that made the 911 call right before 8 o'clock this evening. Now, she told me she was on her front porch when she saw the house burst into flames. She said it was so loud that she thought an airplane had crashed nearby. Mrs. Birch told me the neighbors living in that house were Brian Marr and his mother, who we only know as Mrs. Fabio. She told me Brian was in the basement when the house exploded, and another neighbor, Alex Melville, was able to get him out of the house. Other neighbors we spoke to said Mrs. Fabio made it out okay and that Brian was transported to the hospital.
And I was driving down to get gas, and I was probably about like 5 houses down. Then my car shook, and then I looked back in my rearview mirror, and just the whole front of the house just blew out and then blew up into flames.
As you can see, it definitely destroyed and gutted the whole full part of the house. So I know it did take a lot of water. They needed more tankers, and they have hose all the way down to the end of where it turns onto Lenox. So that's how much hydrant water they needed. So.
And now, as we also said earlier, there were also reports of a smell of gas in the area, and NYSEG was also on the scene as I was leaving, but nothing's been confirmed yet.
Yeah, we've been trying to get in touch with NYSEG all night. We've been calling cell phones, office phones, still no word from them. But all indications do point, especially the way the house went up so quickly, that there was natural gas involved, although that has not been confirmed yet. Right now, we're going to go to Joe for your first forecast with some rain on the way.
Well, sad news from overnight. Another house explosion in Horseheads, and neighbors say they smelled gas before the house blew. Now, it happened at the home of 3052 Camden Avenue. That's just a mile and a half from the home on Joseph Street that blew up in 2011, killing a toddler. And in the same general area south of I-86, where another home exploded on Fox Street. That was a few years back. Now, Kelly Meyer is covering the story for us all night. She joins us live with the latest. She's there now. Kelly, how's it going?
Joe, we were out here until about 12:30 last night, and now we're back again this morning. And now that the smoke's cleared and is light out, we're able to see the damage that was done to this home. Just take a look behind me. This was someone's home just yesterday, and now it's just a skeleton of that home. But still no light as to why this happened.
This was the scene last night when a house exploded in Horseheads. Christopher Smith was inside his home right next door when the explosion happened. He said the whole place shook and even cracked his windows.
I was just sitting watching TV and I heard a big explosion. Broke the upstairs window and downstairs window and burned all the electrical wires on the side of the house.
The house was completely engulfed in flames, leaving behind a skeleton of the home.
I went outside and 3 of the 4 walls of the house were laying on the ground, and there was no fire at first, and then about 4 minutes later you could see the smoke start rolling up through the peak of the house.
Firefighters got the call around 7:45 last night when another neighbor saw the home burst into flames from her front porch.
Everybody was calling his name, and you could hear him inside the house, but you couldn't see nothing. And 2 or 3 minutes later, he come crawling out the back of the house, and that's when you could see his hair was all singed.
The man was inside the house when it exploded. Neighbors say they saw him leaving in the ambulance, his body burned and hair singed. Jordan Seymour was just 5 houses away, driving down the road to get gas, when his car shook. He looked in his rearview mirror and couldn't believe what he saw.
I didn't know what to think. It blew my mind. My heart was pounding. I was getting cold chills, and I got gas and I came back and the house was still in flames.
State police are going to continue their investigation today. There's a state trooper on the scene now watching over the area. And we also tried to speak with NYSEG last night, but weren't able to get a comment from them. We'll have more details for you as soon as we get them. Live in Horseheads, Kelly Meyer, WENY HD News.
It's not looking good out here, Scott, but luckily for the homeowner, she is insured, and agents say she has a good policy that will cover all of the damage. The homeowner's son, 36-year-old Brian Marr, is still listed in guarded condition at Strong Memorial Hospital in Rochester. His sister was on the scene earlier today, and she told me things, quote, aren't looking so good for her brother. She says her mom has lived at the house for 7 years. Insurance representatives on the scene say the homeowner lost her license, purse, pretty much everything in the explosion and fire. Her next step is to apply for a demolition permit, which will cost about $3,000. Insurance will cover the $15,000 cost for the demolition. Insurance representatives say the damage will fill at least 4 tractor-trailer dumpsters. They say nothing's wrong with the ground and that the house can be built in the same location again, but with a new foundation, new everything. In Horseheads, Tanja Reiki, WENY HD News.